Greetings, productive programmer. So in our previous lesson, we set it up so we could send text messages, or I should say chat messages. And we now want to store the username as well in this information. So that way, this feels more like a chat application and users will know who they're talking to. So let's go ahead and let's expand our code to include the username. But we want to include the user who broadcasts the message when they do the broadcasting. So we are going to change the structure of our code a little bit. So where we have our broadcast, instead of just broadcast in the message, let's broadcast the message data that will be a map, and it will consist of both the message as well as the user who is posting that message. So we're going to set up message data inside of our handle event for our submit message. And our message data is going to be a map. And all that's going to store is it's going to store the message that the user makes. That's what we pretty much have been storing exclusively to this point. But now we're going to also store a username, and we're going to set that to the socket assigns username. So that way, the user who is on the socket that is broadcasting the message, their username gets tied to the message forever. So that way we know which user actually submitted this message. So that's good. We will move the message data into what we're broadcasting now. So now we're broadcasting a different structure that may affect our code a little bit. Let's go ahead and just see here. So when the message gets broadcasted now, it's going to come in here as a new structure, and it's going to append our map to our chat messages. That should still function, but our topic when we display that here is probably going to be affected because we're no longer just displaying a single message. We actually have some structured data that we're displaying. So let's go ahead and let's see how that affects us going forward. And let's see what our code does. So when I run this code, I'm anticipating that this is not going to work because right now, I'll show you. I'm going to run it and it's going to break. So we'll say hello and we'll hit submit and we get a big error. And that's because when we set up our helper function to display the code, we're displaying the message here. And if we take a look, since we've now changed the structure of our message data, we just changed it to a map. So it's no longer just the message. We need to treat this like it's a map. So we need to actually handle this a little bit differently. So we need to come back into our code where we were just simply passing the message data as message, and we need to fix that up. So let's go ahead and let's change it so that way this makes a little bit more sense. This should be considered message data now. So we'll do that. And then what we'll do to assist us is we'll just take a simple logger here, and we will log out what's coming into our assigns data. And then we'll get rid of this since it's breaking here. And we'll just take a look at our structure of our code real quick. I'll do a test and I'll hit enter. And now you can see this is the structure that is being passed to it. So it says assign, so I know that it's this one being logged. And so I want to take this entire structure that is here, and I want to pattern match on it. So I'm only interested in the message data. So let's go ahead and we can get rid of this logger now. We're not going to need that. And so the assigns variable, I don't care about pattern matching on this stuff. And I just want the message data. And you can see that we'll get the message now as well as the username. So what we'll do is we'll remap message to be message, and we'll remap username. We'll pattern match on that to capture username. And then we can just go ahead and let's redisplay our message here. So we'll go back to our syntax. And then we'll go ahead and we'll also put our username in here. And now let's go check our code again. We'll do a test. And now we have our username and our message. So how cool is that? So this is even nicer. So now if we pull up another application on the same topic, and you'll notice here that our code is responsive thanks to Tailwind CSS. So as we make this a little bit smaller, it'll hide everything else and we'll just have our chat messages down here. And so I'll go ahead and make these nice and small and put them next to each other so we can see a side by side. And we'll just do a simple exchange of messages. So hello, my name is Fit Jagger, because you can see my username is Fit Jagger. So I say, hello, my username is Fit Jagger. Here we see it says, hello, my name is Fit Jagger. So I can say, hi, Fit Jagger. I am long apartment. And then you'll see that this message appears over here. So there now is real-time chat communication happening between these two users. And we'll get this cleaned up to look a little bit nicer in the future. So, this is, but functionality-wise, we have everything working the way that we need it to. And we've added the username. And we have restructured our data. So we've restructured this a little bit so that now we get the message and the username. And when we broadcast our message, we now send the message data as a map that contains the message and the username that the user is submitting. So we've rechanged the structure, and you can see how that when we send that data to our helper function, we can then pattern match on all of that information here and pull out the relevant information that we need to display. And in our case, that's just username and message. So congratulations on this part where you now have a nice functioning message chat that displays the username and the message of the user. And I hope that you're having fun playing with that. But in the next part, you're going to learn something that is very important, which is that, we haven't really been passing our data around very efficiently, believe it or not. And there's a little trick that we can do that will actually make our code a lot more efficient. And I'll explain that in the next lesson where I'll talk about how we can use temporary assigns and what that means. So head over to the next lesson and I'll see you there.